end zone. It was caught, and then you heard a whistle, like either as he released it, a little bit. I thought it was a little bit after. Some would argue that if it was before, so that was all this. And that, of course, stayed. It laid itself out and played out, and since he won the ball.
In the reffing leagues, we called those tweeters.
Yeah, you had a tweeter.
Had a tweeter.
Premature or inadvertent.
I know somebody who told us, I won't use names, told us time and time again that the rules are different each week or each day. Friday's rules aren't Saturday's rules. Saturday's rules aren't Sunday's rules. For example,
yes,
you can return an extra point, 4 points in college, but you can't do that in high school.
Right. Different, yeah.
Okay. So let's
punts can't advance on certain.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're running a ball in for a 2-point play in college, you fumble, the other team can pick it up, run it back, and score 2 points.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Well, let's assume that the person who was telling you that over and over again, that there was a fumble in Augustana, and the guy picks it up and is running it all the way back.
Blue.
And then there's a tweeter. Tweet.
Uh-oh.
That was a long drive home for somebody.
Really quiet on the
There's
way
really
home.
no way. When
Really
stuff
quiet.
directly takes points off the board. That's
Those are bad.
Those are tough
bad.
tweeters right there.
I can tell you this, Coach Lennon, it didn't matter to the outcome of the game, but Coach Lennon could not have been more of a gentleman. You got the original, what?
Right. You, blinkety
Then
blank.
after that, it was just kind of a head shake and forget about it. I liked it.
So what else you guys do this weekend?
Not much.
You want to see my fish house? Got it all clean.
I thought I told you to relax this weekend.
I just got in the mood. And guess how many mice were in it?
3.
One.
0.
One.
Oh, one?
One. He's been dead for a while. What he did was he got inside a 5-gallon bucket, which they do.
Oh, yeah.
And then they can't get out.
Yep. Then you find them.
Yeah,
Then
it's like, yeah.
And he froze.
I would say he either died of exhaustion or
Trying to
starvation.
hop out.
One of the two. Yep.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to make it out.
Well, how often do mice have to replenish how often do they have to eat?
Mice eat constantly.
So how long can they go
Judging
before...
by how many times they poop.
Poo-poo. We call those...
See how much discipline better discipline I have?
We call those Peters.
Good job.
No, tweeters. No, anyway,
that's a difference.
How long do mice go before they die without eating? How long can they go?
If it's
Rusty?
Okay.
Rusty or egg guy.
All right.
Yeah.
So if the mouse is trapped in a 5-gallon pail
Bucket. Yeah, right.
with sunflower seeds,
Okay.
he can live a long,
Yeah,
long time.
forever. Okay.
Now, if
Are
the
those Dakotas? Yeah, those are big giant seeds from
if the
Wapiti?
pail is empty, you got to wonder why the heck he tried to get in there in the first place in the pail.
That's a great
the other
question.
part. Well, I would guess he was on the counter and did the hop,
Yeah.
Or he thought there were seeds in the bucket, and much to his surprise.
But here's the thing. He was pretty chunky. So
Was
I'm
he?
assuming that
There must have been something in the bucket before he kicked the bucket.
and here's the other thing. Here's the other part, you guys, that was just completely confusing to me. But, when I get in there, I get the vacuum, I get in there, I get in all the crevices.
Right.
There wasn't that much mouse crap in there.
Yeah.
So it's like he must have been a short-term
Probably starved.
visitor.
Yeah.
Didn't have much in the stomach.
Yep. Came in, said, hey, this looks like a nice place. I'm going to get in a bucket. Because he wasn't in there that long.
So you found a mouse.
I found a mouse.
Yeah.
Found a mouse. Got him out of there.
I was wondering, coming back here
There was no funeral.
I was... we didn't... How much snow did we get last week?
I don't know. I was moving.
Oh, we got something, I think.
Is that so?
Yeah.
It wasn't this big? Because in Iowa and Illinois, where this stuff hit the Midwest, boy, the roads were just brutal.
Yeah.
And you want to be in a charter bus. I was just counting jackknife semis on our trip from Macomb to St. Paul. It was just unbelievable.
So on a charter bus like that, and you've got you guys won, so it's a big weekend, and you're coming back, and it's icy roads, and you got jackknife semis, and then Barry Manilow plays.
Yes,
and people start swaying side to side to side. Does the bus driver turn around? Knock it off! Pretty soon he's fishtailing going down.
Bill is such a champion driver. He is so cool. He's good. Except last night from St. Paul, Saturday night from St. Paul back to Grand Forks, on the satellite TV, I had the remote because Coach Mal wasn't there. She flew to Cleveland to recruit. The other coaches drove. So I'm in the front with the remote control. Now, here's behind me.
He's got power.
Behind me is, just all 20-somethings, that who knows what they want to watch. And half are on their phones anyway, whatever. Yeah. But I've got the remote. So Nolan, the athletic trainer, sits behind me. I'm in front. That Buffalo game is on, right? So I'm going through the guide, and I stop over the highlighted on DirecTV Buffaloes, and I just hear, no, football, no. Maggie Manson goes, I'm okay with that. So now there's this battle of what to put it on. So you know what I put on? Food Channel, Guy Fieri's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
That's always safe.
It is a safe. I went to that, and I left it because Young Guns was on, Old School was on. I had movie choices, Mr. Deeds, which is kind of then you got to watch because it's younger, so you got to be careful.
Is there anything now? Forget about your what you can eat.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's assume you can eat everything that Rusty and I can eat.
Yeah.
Is there anything you see on Guy's show that you would not try?
Like not try even if I could?
Yeah, even if you could, would you not try?
There is anything that they put onions in, so then that would be everything. But it all looks really intriguing. I was looking at someone was making a duck fat something or another, a sandwich with, it was just, what I've learned is that these great chefs, they put their meat away for like 7 days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then vacuum seal it and put that in and then let that rest for 2 more days. And it's like the amount of care. I love that show.
Yeah. After you butcher a cow, and you have it out and you put it in the walk-in, how long does it sit there before the butcher gets to work on it? Typically. There's your quick trivia quiz.
Oh.
How long?
So after you butcher a cow.
You butcher a cow, it's hanging from the rack.
Right.
It's okay, let me draw an image.
But you don't want to
Rocky's ready to punch it. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, so it's hanging.
Okay.
So it's hanging in a locker.
Right. So it's in the locker plant.
I would say
the styles are about to pull it out and put the saw to it.
I want to say a day, but I bet you're going to say that's way off.
Rusty?
It's a little bit more than a day.
2 days?
72 hours.
72 hours.
15 days.
Whoa.
What?
15 days.
Wow. That's how long it takes a mouse to die.
It's not that uncommon to be there as long as 15 days.
Wow.
Hanging on the hook.
Hanging on the hook. Couple weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huh.
I watch Diners, Drive-In, Dives, and I usually...
That's why it's so doggone good.
I exit out.
It's not going to... it's in a cooler.
It's fine.
Let
it bleed out.
What does cumin do anyway? Use a lot of cumin.
Cumin? I don't know.
What does cumin really do?
I don't know.
One of my old roughing buddies just texted me. He lives down in South Dakota now. It wasn't him, but he's enjoying the fact we picked on the tweeter.
The tweeter.
Stick around. More coming your way here on News and Views. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your host.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on the MSUM campus we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to address.
When Heidi was running for senator, we were walking through the parade in Rutland, North Dakota, and CBS had come to do a feature on it, and there was Leslie Stahl.
I'm Leslie
and Judy
Stahl.
Woodruff from PBS. Somebody hollered out, "That's Leslie Stahl!"
Leslie Stahl came to your town.
In Rutland, North Dakota. Yes.
Who came to your town?
You know what's not known very well here because they can't say it until like after they die, is this is the Jet Center here is a big place for people to fly into to get back in the state, get the passport, get all that done. So what a couple of the guys have leaked to me a number of times is like Queen Elizabeth has been here.
By the way, so-and-so flew in. And that's like when Tom Hanks.
There's some big time players.
Tom Hanks and his family stopped into West Fargo and ate over at, was it Diener's Diner?
Yeah. Yep. Great guy.
And nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Wilson!
No,
nobody knew.
Didn't he eat in West Fargo?
That's what I said.
Yeah, West Fargo at Diener's.
Okay, Diener. Okay, sorry. All right, got it wrong. For some reason, I had Mel's in my head.
Okay. Mel's? Vic Tayback? Was Vic Tayback cooking? Was Alice working?
Think of how much barbecue sauce that stocking had by
Kiss
the
my grits.
So how did you know? Like for all of us who travel to so many places, small towns, you're out doing ag reports, you're out calling games. I'm former, healing up politician, that type of thing. All right, how many when you drove into that town, did you gauge the town by a fast food place?
If they had one?
Yep.
Yeah. That's one thing, because we're
one. Right. That's one.
Yep.
Yeah.
A good service station. They've got to have one of those.
Yeah,
we got to fuel up.
That kind of changed as time went, but like in the 80s, if there was a McDonald's,
right,
or there was it was like holy cow!
Like in Williston, like I said in Williston, we just blatantly stole the franchise. Like we had a Burger Queen, not a Burger King. We had a Marty's, we had a McDougal's, a McDowell's.
They're coming in now. Bill Henderson from the Letterman Show came to Bisbee, North Dakota.
Bill Henderson,
1998.
Isn't it Biff?
Oh wait,
yeah. Yeah, Bill Henderson.
Biff.
Yeah, Biff.
Yeah, Biff.
I hope
Biff
you never get so old that you can actually see the letters. Hold on. It's Biff.
Biff. Yes. Okay. It was close, though. You were just off.
Barbara Mandrell. And the Mandrell sisters came to Michigan, North Dakota for the centennial.
Abby, for $2.27, take a shot at what Barbara's 2 sisters are named. Just throw out 2 female names.
Janet.
Yep.
And Elizabeth.
Nailed it. Louise and Erlene, I believe.
Louise and Erlene.
Erlene?
I think it
nailed
was.
it.
Had a great show for a while.
Too.
The Mandrell sisters had some good puppets.
What I love about Abby, she just goes for it. See, that's a message.
Barbara
people
could
just
play
go for
I can't believe I didn't get Erlene.
Erlene.
Barbara could play anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
I mean, she could.
She was like a prince.
She was incredibly
fiddle,
talented.
guitar, piano, harp.
Banjo, maybe.
Yes. Euphonium.
She could play it. I don't. Some of these country music artists that retired, they come out of retirement after they realize maybe they didn't make as much money for the lifestyle they're used to. Not Barbara. She never came back out.
Where did she go to Rutland?
No, she was in Michigan, North Dakota.
Michigan.
They played on a semi-trailer out on a football field.
Now, see, who came to your town?
I bet you the Mandrells had a blast.
I bet they did.
I bet
too.
they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rolling up Highway
was
2
older?
to head over to Michigan.
I remember Dana Bash being from CNN, being at Schmidt's House Movers. She came, we had a rally for Heidi there, and in walks Dana Bash with CNN. Yeah, it was kind of cool. And she was happier than all get out. Just to
Text coming in, Joel Heitkamp came to Northwood to cover the tornado.
Yes, he did. That's absolutely true.
Who came to your town? I Consultants of North Dakota text line 35270.
Just see, he starts these things, and then
Did
all day
Louise
long I feel
Mandrell
guilty.
go?
If I
Did Erlene, or was it just Barbara?
no, it says and
All
the
of them?
Mandrell
Mandrell
sisters.
Oh, all of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And by the way, it was Biff Anderson. I don't know if
Yeah.
just telling you. From right here.
He's related to Bill Anderson.
from Bisbee.
From Rutland, North Dakota. When we come back, Chip Shaw right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate but also have a sense of
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes
This
Two.
is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Not even one request for bail money this weekend. You and Gwen
No.
must have behaved pretty well.
I did.
Not Gwen or what? Gwen, by the way, is Abby's roommate. But yeah, not.
We love Gwen.
But Gwen did a little time this weekend. Or what?
She just had
Community service.
a slower morning yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
But,
I get it. Saturday night, she was rocking and a rolling.
Friday, I was at a bar and I won in darts. Once.
Really?
Of the 2 games, I won.
So the other guy got his hand caught in a saw, or what? What happened?
Yeah, they were blind.
Okay, just checking.
No.
Just checking.
It was like my sister-in-law and Gwen and another friend. So
I have a dartboard in my office, and you don't do that bad. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can throw darts.
I don't really aim. That's a difficult thing, but that's okay. You just throw it hope for the best.
So weren't you there when we were throwing axes at the boards, right?
Yeah, you can only aim so much.
Yeah. Well, I got to do that again. My sister Melanie went there, and she just had a blast.
Throwing axes.
And
is
remember,
fun.
we did well enough where names were placed on the deal?
Yeah.
We're still up there. Still up on the board.
Really?
Just saying. Mel saw it.
The axes were fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun.
We got to do it again.
Yeah.
All right. You over the weekend, you take in, right? If you're like me, you're going to get up in the morning and you're going to read the paper and you're going to check out KFGO's news and, check out, the type of news that comes out of Keys. And I want to be up to speed on Monday, right? And so you check the Twitter, you go to Facebook, which I absolutely despise, but you do, and you use it as a tool to get a conversation going. And I read the New York Times, and you heard the conversation we had on Friday, if you're a frequent listener of the show, that we had on the David Brooks column about, is America falling apart at the seams? And there was an article, and it's one of the first clicks I always make. Jim Shaw, who you hear guest host on this show, Jim is a tremendous, very good writer, just very, very good at it. And he does his homework, does his research, and he brings something to the table. Well, he did over the weekend. And I called him. I said, Jim, I got to visit with you about this. He was good enough to give us time, and he's in studio right now. Jim, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Thanks for the kind words.
Different sitting over in that chair rather than here when you're hosting for me all the time?
It is different, but frankly, it's easier to be a guest.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize the prep work that you put in every day for a show, but if you're good like you are, people don't notice. It just seems so natural.
Well, thank you. But I have to tell you this. You want to talk about work. The article that you wrote about Representative Rick Becker, the platforms that he has, the ability to go out there and spread very confusing information as a medical doctor. If you could you just walk people through the premise of the article, what you did in there?
Well, maybe I'll start with the history of how this story came about. So forgive me because this could take a few minutes. I was working on another column about how this state does not do nearly enough to combat COVID-19, which I think most thinking people will realize. It's pretty lame. And consequently, we're first per capita in COVID cases. We're first per capita in not wearing masks. One of the worst states for vaccinations. Anyway, so I'm talking to a doctor and I'm getting some good quotes on him. And then he says, this is about 3 weeks ago, you should write about Rick Becker. I said, what are you talking about? He said, this guy is committing malpractice. This guy should be disciplined by the State Board of Medicine for all the lies and misinformation he's spreading about COVID-19. I said, are these comments on the record? He said, absolutely. And he went on and on to blast Dr. Becker. I said, okay, that's a start. I can't just do this based on you. This is what I need to do, and this is what I'm going to do. I need to research what he has said. And I did. I went to his Facebook page. I looked up articles he's written. I didn't even know he had a column that runs regularly in Dickinson. I went to his TV shows, and I had found that he had said just ridiculous things about treating COVID-19, basically just poo-pooing masks, poo-pooing the vaccine, pushing ivermectin, one after another, that was clearly not in line with what all medical experts are saying. Then my next step, now because I told this first doctor, I said, okay, well, I cannot base a column just on one doctor. I need to find others who share the same opinion. So I contacted close to 10. My column, I only have about 500 words. I can't quote 10 doctors. But everybody I talked to or heard about all felt the same way. And I talked to 2 others who would go on the record. I found 2 who did not want to go on the record because they were afraid of ramifications, but they felt that way. And these were 2 heavy hitters. One of them is president of the North Dakota chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Another one is a former medical officer in the state of North Dakota. And they thanked me for being interested in doing this, and they also gave me some great quotes. Mind you, in my career, and I've written thousands and thousands of news stories, I've never written a story before of doctors blasting other doctors. It's kind of unheard of. But now I'm thinking, okay, I really got it. I've seen what he said, and I have heard enough doctors to be convinced that they feel this way, that he definitely should be disciplined, and I can get into later what are the possible choices. So then my last call was to the State Board of Medicine. I needed to find out what the rules are and if, in fact, this is a violation. And the rules are, yes, doctors cannot spread phony information about diseases. You have to be honest. You know, if you came in and you were diagnosed with cancer, if a doctor said, well, just take a couple of aspirin, you'll be fine, that's not sufficient. That would be a violation. And then I asked about the penalties, and they told me of a bunch of penalties that can apply. But what has to happen is there have to be complaints against this doctor in order for there to be an investigation. The complaints I found are not public, but if there is disciplinary action against the doctor, that is made public. So after I talked to them, then I realized, okay, I've got everything I need. And I was 100% convinced by all the doctors I spoke to that Rick Becker should be disciplined. People need to know about this. And if it's coming from doctors, because really this was a doctor-generated column, then that's good enough for me. These people I respect, these people I trust. What Rick Becker is doing is not just unethical, it's dangerous. People who listen to him could get ill with COVID. They could die of COVID. This is not just a game. And what he's doing is outrageous, and he needs to be investigated, and he needs to be disciplined.
So if you're an attorney and you're committing malpractice, the attorneys themselves discipline themselves. You know, there's a board, and the attorneys have the opportunity to get, to go through that board to get people to get the law license away, take it away. What's stopping these physicians from making a formal complaint and going about the process of, taking Becker's, rights to practice medicine away?
Nothing except I did find that a few doctors are afraid of him, and they're afraid of him because he's a state legislator, and they're afraid he and some of the people, and I'm sorry to tell you, in that nutcase wing of the party could push to pass some legislation, or they could be some kind of punishment for these doctors who are basically advocating for public health. So there are a few who are afraid of him. But the North Dakota Board of Medicine has to do its job. The complaints can be filed, I was told, by anybody. It doesn't have to be filed by another doctor. I haven't confirmed this, but I have been told that there have been at least 2 complaints filed against him. Complaints are not, I may have mentioned this, are not public information. Disciplinary action is. There is a panel of about 6 or 7 doctors on the North Dakota Board of Medicine, and it is their obligation to investigate complaints and make rulings. So I am hoping that there will be an investigation, and from all appearances, they should find malpractice.
Somebody wrote, isn't Becker a plastic surgeon? What makes him an expert? In many cases, obviously, that's your specialty you go on to, but you still got to pass medical school.
Right. He's an MD. Doesn't matter what his specialty is.
Another one, Joel, what do Jim's doctor friends say about masks now that the CDC says cloth masks aren't enough? We need N95. One other one here, Jim, in our Eye Consultants of North Dakota text club, which says, Joel, Jim doesn't do his homework. I'm no fan of Becker, but Google ivermectin and the University of Minnesota, the doctors found it worth doing research on.
Well,
right?
let me answer that one, because I did do my homework, and I probably didn't mention this. Before I wrote this column, I looked up ivermectin. I read a number of articles to make sure that I knew what I was talking about. And what I found was, whether it be the FDA, the CDC, the World Health Organization, all of those organizations are on record as saying ivermectin is not effective, they do not recommend you take it, and that it is dangerous. Those are the most credible organizations you can find. I looked up, I read so much stuff. There is not one legitimate study out there that recommends people to take ivermectin in combating COVID-19.
When we come back, he's here for your phone calls, 1-800-880-5346. That's our Laney's News and Views studio line. Your plumbing, heating, cooling, and electrical experts. He doesn't run. He doesn't hide. He's right here. Give him a call, 1-800-880-5346.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek
Mighty
Hansen,
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
Jerkins News Radio.
Bailey Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Forces.
Too tall,
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
vaccine was supposed to stop the spread of COVID-19. Well, the vaccinated are spreading it. So should those doctors who said that be punished? Jim?
Well, I don't know what you were told, you, the listener. We were told that the vaccine is not 100% effective. It's somewhere between 85 and 90% effective. But if you do get COVID and you've been vaccinated, there's a really, really strong chance that you will be alive and that your symptoms will be relatively minor, as opposed to if you haven't been vaccinated. But the key to all this, and this is what people should pay attention to, is about 90 to 95% of all the people who are dying from COVID-19, who are in the hospital from COVID-19, who are on ventilators from COVID-19, they have not been vaccinated. Clearly, the vaccination helps. And when I hear numbers like that, that's all I need to know. That tells me that the vaccination works. And frankly, if you don't take it, I believe you are foolish.
Text message comes in and says, I have lost all respect for Jim Shaw. This is a witch hunt by you, Joel and Jim. You are just as guilty for putting Shaw on without Becker on to debate each other. The government under Biden has not delivered as the Democrats promised. I had somebody this weekend actually jump me about that, Jim. They said, Biden can't get control of this COVID crisis. He can't. And I said, well, it would obviously help in terms of the hospitals, in terms of the medical staff just flat out wearing out if people were vaccinated. If they got vaccinated, we wouldn't have hospital staff that's so exhausted that they're working double shifts constantly and ready to quit, and are quitting in some cases. And he said, you're missing the point, Joel. It can still get transferred by those vaccinated. I said, okay, let me put this. First off, let me ask you if you're vaccinated. Nope, he wasn't vaccinated. I said, then you have no standing complaining to me about any of it. Okay, that's a choice you made. I get it, but you have no standing arguing to me about how the president hasn't gotten his arms around COVID. So let me throw one more that I think resonated with him. I said, if you could go to one of two casinos, and one casino, you had a 95% chance of winning. The other casino, you only had a 5% chance of winning. Wouldn't you go to the 95% one?
He said
yes. And that's what vaccination does. It gives you a 95% chance of winning.
Correct.
And he didn't. He looked at me and he just shook his head and he walked away. So, I mean, it is what it is, Jim.
And I just want to further respond to that listener that this column, I wrote it, but it didn't come from me. This came from the leading doctors in this state, of which I spoke to. They are the ones who brought this issue to the forefront. They are the ones who are calling this to the public's attention. If they don't say these things, I certainly don't bring it up. I am not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. The people I talk to are experts, and we should listen to our experts and follow the advice of our experts. Dr. Becker is not an expert.
Let's get to Dan. Dan, you're on with Jim Shaw. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joel. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, I work for a animal additive, feed additive, and we deal in microbiology. It's a live bacteria product. And I was traveling around the country. This is 10 years ago. We had hired a gentleman who used to work for Mariel, the big animal drug company. And he looked at me and he goes, "Do you know that animal vaccines only work 70% of the time?" And I said, "Really?" I said, "I did not know that." And he goes, "Yep, they only work 70% of the time." He said, "But we don't advertise that because," he said, "then the farmers will only vaccinate 70% of their cattle." And I thought that was kind of unique. And so if the COVID is working at 85 to 90, that's pretty good because, and to go further, I got a shingles shot here a year ago. I asked the pharmacist to give me the shot. I said, "How effective is this?" She says, "Oh, about 70%. So there's no vaccine. They're right. There's no vaccine that's 100%. But if you're looking at 85 to 90, that's a lot better than the average.
Dan, you're...
And the other thing is ivermectin is a parasitic. It is not an antibiotic. It's a parasitic.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. That was the voice of common sense, Jim.
Let's hear more of that because unfortunately in North Dakota, and I don't want to paint with a broad brush, there's a lot of lack of common sense, and that's why this state is one of the worst when it comes to masking and taking vaccinations.
If you're on hold, wait there. We're going to continue this conversation. Jim Shaw, he wrote a heck of an article, and I wanted to visit with him today, and he came on in. So he's taking your calls. All you got to do is give us a holler at 1-800-880-5346.
Roberson here with another News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Joel
Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Radio Network is in the studio taking your calls. Let's get to Adam. Adam, you're on with Jim. Go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going, guys?
Good.
So I was just kind of at a stump about it. The question is, so if the vaccination works 90% for people, right, what is the survival rate for just COVID itself, unvaccinated or vaccinated? 90-some% as well, correct?
I guess I'm trying to figure out your point, Adam. Are you saying if you've been unvaccinated and you contract COVID, you still got a 90% chance of not dying from COVID? Is that what you're saying?
Correct, right?
Okay.
Is that not the statistic?
The percentage of people that are unvaccinated that contract COVID is quite high that don't die from COVID. Yes.
Right. It's in the 90s.
Right.
I thought it was 96%, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
The point I'm trying to make, Adam, is the people that are in the hospital that do die of COVID are well over 90% that haven't been vaccinated, Adam.
Can I add one more thing? You are 20 times more likely to die from COVID if you have not been vaccinated. That's an enormous risk you are taking if you do not take the vaccine.
Well, it's all based on that because everybody's, DNA and all that stuff's slightly different and varies. That, I mean, who's to say that it's not affecting those certain percentage of, whether it be a health issue or not, but a healthy person. I mean, I've seen, obviously, there's been cases of healthy people, dying from it, but how is it affecting their body per se compared to somebody else, that's healthy?
Can I ask you a question? Why are you so resistant to the vaccine? Why are you against the idea of getting vaccinated against this horrible virus?
Well, I just look at, I know people personally that have, had COVID, been in the hospital, not been in the hospital, not had symptoms, all that. But I look at the overall basis of health. If your percent, regardless, vaccinated, unvaccinated, regardless if the vaccination gives you a boost in percentage of not dying from it, but just your overall mortality rate from it is so high, just like your example of going to the casino. If I go to a casino that's guaranteeing me 96% versus that 4%, I'm going to obviously go the 96%. But if you throw out there saying, hey, but if you go to this other casino, we can provide you with this to increase your 20%, I'd still think I would choose my 96% over that other version.
But Jim, what is it about, or Adam, I'm sorry, what is it about the vaccine that makes you not want to take it, you personally?
Well, just because so early in the game, and with the side effects and things that have already been, arising from the vaccinations, it's like you already have a 96% survival rate, and then now you're going to throw a curveball in there to potentially have risks of other factors that's not even correlated to COVID, but correlated to the vaccine. It just.
Yeah. Okay.
And through time, evolution shows, it's like we forgot that our bodies can evolve and self-heal and do all these things that it's supposed to. And, we've lived for thousands and thousands of years, and there's got to be some proof and source that our bodies are able to evolve from vaccines, just like vaccines evolve.
Adam, would you say the same thing if it was the polio vaccine?
No, I don't have enough research on that. I didn't really live the era of polio to fully see it in hindsight, like, people that lived through that polio scare have,
Yeah.
Reading one thing and living one thing are kind of two totally different things. And with the information out there, it's just so vague yet to make that determined decision to say, yes, I will get 100%, 100% I will get vaccinated. That's just where
I got you, Adam. My argument to Adam is pretty simple, which is that the point and the overall point of all of this is your chance of being hospitalized, your chance of dying is much greater if you haven't been vaccinated. Now, when they say it's too soon, let me ask you this, because it's been out there for a while now. The vaccine has been out there. Women have gotten pregnant. Women have had healthy babies. The whole notion that it's going to cut your lifespan short, that the infertility, all of that has been proven over. It's been out there for a couple of years now, folks. We have lived since then. There's one factor I don't think that people take into account, and this affects me because I contracted COVID before the vaccine. And when you had it and you had it good, I had 102 temperature. I had one very not so good week, probably about 3-4 days, I should say. And others in my life still can't smell or taste. The biggest thing I think that we're yet to talk a lot about is what the long-term effects of having COVID when you haven't been vaccinated are. And Jim, I can tell you that scares me. What might have happened to my lungs? What might have happened to me, 5 years, 10 years from now?
You're lucky, especially because you didn't have the choice of taking the vaccine then. So thank God you survived it. But others in your position did not survive it. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why anybody who has a choice, and we all have the choice, would choose not to take the vaccine. You have emphasized repeatedly that your chances of dying or being hospitalized from COVID-19 are enormously higher if you don't take the vaccine. And you made a great point about polio. We all took the polio vaccine when we were kids. Our families didn't question it. And guess what? Polio is gone. This should be, that is a perfect comparison. We all took other vaccines, chickenpox, mumps, rubella. This is no different than those, and they work.
Let's get to Roy. Roy, you're on with Jim Shaw.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning to you, Roy.
How are you all? So can I draw an analogy?
Go for it.
Okay. When I entered the life insurance business, I was told by a very smart general manager, Roy, do not try to convince anyone to buy insurance. Ask them if they love their family. Determine if they're reasonably intelligent. And if it's reasonably affordable. And they will make the decisions for themselves. Apart from the political aspects of the vaccine, I think it's selfish to think of yourself when it comes to vaccine instead of thinking of what happens to you, like in the case of life insurance. If you pass away and leave a family without money or support, and your kids no school or a house to live in or food to eat or a car to drive, think about that. But you will not convince people who really don't have a love and appreciation of their own family and their own situation to move from that position. And an older gentleman once told me, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Yeah. I was waiting for that line because I've heard it, and it's a beautiful line because it's spot on right. Roy, what I can tell right now is you were good at what you did. You're the kind of guy I would have bought a life insurance policy from. So thanks.
Well, I never had to sell it.
Yeah, it's there. Thanks, Roy. I raised this question on air, Jim, and I struggle with it. I know what the right thing to do is, which is you care. It doesn't matter if they made a poor choice, any of that. But, somebody called in one day to my show and said, should I care if someone chooses not to get vaccinated and they die of COVID? Should I care anymore?
And what was your answer?
My answer was, I know people that have done that, and I care so much about their family that I'm going to care. And to
right.
me, that's why I thought of saying that right there is because of Roy.
Right.
Because it's the family they left behind, and I'm not using names here, but I'm going to say this. There's an individual that has died of COVID, and his family is near and dear to me. And, his mother, God bless her soul, if she would have had a chance, I'm sure she would have taken the polio vaccine rather than walk around with what she got from polio.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's political. It's not based on science.
You're right on. You're spot on.
How it got political. And I'm just going to say this. If Donald Trump had embraced the fact that the vaccine was developed under his administration, if he had said, listen, look at what we were able to do. Look at what putting money into this. If I were Donald Trump, I would have bragged about that. I would have encouraged everybody to take it. I would have done all of that.
Absolutely.
It took him a long time to finally get there. And then I would argue he's still not out there beating the drum the way he could.
I will argue if he was upfront and honest with the American people about the seriousness of COVID-19 from the get-go and urged people to take precautions, he would have been reelected, and it wouldn't have even been close. I think COVID-19 was the difference maker in that presidential election.
We're going to take a little break. When we come back, no weather today. Too tall's gone. Go outside. Don't go out in your bloomers, but I'll tell you what, it's warm out. There's my advice to you. When we come back, there's no markets today as well. Martin Luther King's, it's Martin Luther King Day, which is a wonderful day as well. So stick around. More coming your way, right?
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
here with another Dynamite Hacker News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Dear
Mighty
Kansas
790.
Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Too tall, Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to
But we take phone calls first here. That's what we do. Jim Shaw is my guest, talking about his article where basically you've got a number of doctors who have come out publicly and said that Dr. Rick Becker, State Representative Rick Becker, and TV host, columnist Rick Becker should be disciplined by the medical board for some of the information he's putting out there. Jim, you're on with Jim Shaw. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, a couple things. I don't even think we have to look at vaccinations to realize what medical science and research has done to alleviate human misery over the past couple 100 years. 100 years ago, people used to die from kidney stones, urinary tract infections, gallstones, strep throat, you name it. Antibiotics saved a lot of people from that stuff. So science changes, technology changes. People used to embrace this technology, and they benefited from it. I don't understand why they're doing it now. Maybe they're getting a lot of bad information, but they have brains and they have a choice. And when I hear that we should discipline a medical doctor because of his opinion, that kind of makes me think, well, then we should start disciplining people in the media because their opinion. Because their excuse is always that, well, I just report the news. People have to make up their own minds about it. Well, can't we say the same about that?
No, you cannot say about. Okay, let me answer your question. These are rules set by the State Board of Medicine. Doctors are not allowed to spread false information. So what Dr. Becker has done is he has violated the State Board of Medicine rules. He has a First Amendment right to say it. It's not illegal. It's unethical. And I believe that he should be investigated because, again, this is dangerous. People listen to him. But this is a violation of the rules. But to further, but I am going to agree with you. The media. Can I just can I finish my half a sentence?
Jim.
The media does have an absolute responsibility to tell the truth.
Okay.
And that's a problem with some of the media right now is they don't tell the truth.
Jim, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Okay. Well, so I would like to know, you're saying ethics. Ethics are based on some people's opinions and not based totally upon the truth. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is, where is the exact science showing that? Okay, if there had been exact science on any of this, we wouldn't be in this predicament.
Now
the way
I get to deal myself a hand. Jim, you called in before, and I always enjoy your phone calls. You work in the medical field. You told me that one day, right?
Yes, I've been a nurse for 28 years.
Right. So if you walked into that room knowing that the standard that the state medical board put forth, that what is right and what is wrong and what is just your personal choice. If you walked into a room, a hospital room, and made a determination to tell someone that this is what you believe and it's wrong, or this is what you believe and you're putting that person in danger, do you think you should have a license to practice nursing?
That's not what we do, though, Joel. And I wouldn't do that, because the fact that we base our practice based upon what your healthcare organization's policy is. Okay? Now, Rick Becker doesn't work for a healthcare organization. He works for his own private enterprise. So he perfectly can say what he wants. Okay? Whether or not you want to believe him or not, that's up to you. You know?
Well, I'm not trying to throw him in.
Jim Shaw is being really let me finish. Jim Shaw is being really draconian about this. It almost borders on fascism.
Now you went too far. My whole point on the whole Rick Becker thing, I don't think he should lose his right to say it. I just think that if you're going to be a doctor, you have to adhere to a certain code and you have to adhere to a certain professionalism. If you want to run around the country and saying, hey, touching peacock feathers will help you with COVID, go ahead and do it. But then you shouldn't get to be a doctor. And that's the point. If I sit there back in my old profession of being a water manager and I run around the country saying, well, if you mix that with chicken poop, it makes for the best water. I could say that all I want, but as a manager, I'm going to get fired. As a rural water manager, I would have got fired and should have been fired. Jim, I maybe put it in too simplistic, examples, but I guess what I'm struggling with here is why you can get by with it if that's your profession. And that seems to be the premise of your article. Doctors are saying he shouldn't get to.
Right. These are the rules that are in place. Becker is violating the rules. This comes, again, not from me, but from some of the leading doctors in this state who I respect. So this is doctors calling on a fellow doctor to be disciplined, and they have convinced me that they are right. He should be disciplined. What Dr. Becker has said is inappropriate and dangerous, and he should be called on the carpet for this.
Jim, you always bring up a great conversation.
I'm here for you.
Well, your columns do that. I mean, when I read your columns, obviously you're never going to agree with everything I say, and I'm not going to agree with everything you say, but they make me think. And I read them to the end. And I have to tell you, I appreciate that, because I'm going to bring up one in just another that I read, but was absolutely, completely irresponsible and a bunch of horse hockey. Is that, I can't say horse. Yeah.
Yeah, you went as far as you can go with that.
They're trying to wean me off of some words that I use all the time. So, and I'll get to that. And I got to tell you, if you're the people of Moorhead, if you're in Moorhead, what you should count yourself as is lucky, because Mike Hewlett is not your mayor. This is a man that was on the Moorhead City Council. He ran for mayor. And now he's going about saying that the attack upon the Capitol was really no big thing. And that was the premise of his article. So stick around. We'll talk about it right after this. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page. And send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Roberson here with another Dynamite Agri News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity.
GO News, Fargo-Moorhead, it is mostly cloudy, 10 o'clock and 27. I'm Paul Jerkins. A weekend house fire in Grand Forks has killed a 40-year-old woman while another person was rescued. Firefighters dispatched to the house shortly after 2 Saturday morning. One of the residents called for help and told dispatchers they were trapped in the house. First responders were able to see the person through a side window. Firefighters entered the home and were able to get the person out of the house through the window. Firefighters found the second person. Both were taken to Altu Hospital, where Sarah Gattaca died. The cause of the fire is under investigation. A deadly crash early yesterday on I-94 exit 8 miles east of Tappan, North Dakota. The State Patrol says 20-year-old Brett Haar lost control of his pickup on the scattered ice-covered road. He rolled. The truck ended up on its roof. Haar of Steele, North Dakota, was not wearing a seatbelt. He was ejected from the pickup and died at the scene. The Senate is set up to take voting rights legislation tomorrow. That bill has no Republican support, and a vote to change Senate rules to allow passage by a simple majority is also expected to fail. U.S. Senator Tina Smith of Minnesota.
We have a serious problem in this country with some states, some Republican state legislatures, passing laws that are now the law of the land, unlike what they were in 2020, that make it much more difficult for some people to vote.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has accused Democrats of being hysterical about new election laws in many Republican-led states. The Fargo Theater will host a Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration later today. The event will start at 6:30 this evening. It'll feature speakers, singers, dancers, poetry, and awards. Masks will be recommended. People will also be recognized at that event from across the community with Radical Change Awards. It has been 53 years since Martin Luther King's death. Workers who clear snow from runways, streets, and sidewalks at Minneapolis-St. Paul International Airport have reached agreement with the Metropolitan Airports Commission on a tentative contract. Teamsters 320 union representatives will present the contract to its members. It affects about 85 employees, including those who work at Holman Field, Crystal, Air Lake, Flying Cloud, Anoka County, Blaine, and Lake Elmo airports. The commission says the pay varies by season. In 2019, the median gross pay was $103,000, with 48 employees earning more than $100,000. In 2020, the median pay was $89,000, with 18 employees making more than $100,000. KFGO Weather Center forecast, mostly cloudy. We look for a high this afternoon of about 28, Fargo-Moorhead. Southwest winds relatively light and then shifting to the north later on. Mostly cloudy, a little light snow is possible overnight, and 18. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a chance of light snow, patchy blowing and drifting snow near 28. And tomorrow night, we look for mostly cloudy and windy conditions, areas of blowing and drifting snow, low of 5 to 10 below zero.
You know, you spend a lot of time on the weekends reading, taking in, and, you know, the one thing it's supposed to make you do is think when you read an opinion column. There was a time when Mike Hewlett was on the city council of Moorhead, Minnesota, for you folks out west, and Mike was a conservative member. He ran for mayor, and I think it was a three-way race. He got beat. I don't know if he came in second or third or what, but, you know, Moorhead is not what you'd call an ultra-conservative town. It's a town with a couple of different colleges in it, fairly progressive college in it. Let's just say that it very much was the base of Colin Peterson's district when it came to votes that he could count on. Well, Mike Hewlett didn't win. And looking at it now, I have to say that he shouldn't have won because he wasn't in touch with his town at all. But basically what the premise of his article was that the president and vice president are dishonoring our nation with a political stunt at the rotunda of the Capitol, saying that the insurrection shouldn't happen again. And he puts insurrection in quotation marks and, says, look, this is not like the Civil War, which took out 620,000 lives. The Jim Shaw stayed with me because we're having too much fun talking on the break. But, Jim, this isn't like the Civil War because we didn't let it get to be like the Civil War. The Civil War, if you look at what happened with the Civil War, it all started with one shot.
Right.
And it just spewed and it spewed and it spewed over. And so not ignoring it is the key to not letting it happen. And
right.
So if he thinks that in any way, shape, or form, an attack on the Capitol, a storming of the Capitol, first off, he should take the time to look up what the word insurrection means.
Right.
Because the word is completely accurate. They just don't like it because of how it sounds.
Right.
And it's true. It was an insurrection. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is to act as though one act of violence isn't anything like others. That's how it starts, Jim. That's how it starts.
Exactly. And you cannot downplay the significance of January 6th. This was an attempt to overturn a free and fair election. This was an attempt to overthrow our government. This cannot be treated lightly. This must be treated very seriously. People involved must be prosecuted. We must make every effort to stop it again. But unfortunately, I think it's very possible it could happen again. Not in this way. It's very possible our democracy could be thrown out the door without any violence, the way we're heading.
Well, and let me just add this, because if you want to talk about being able to have column space without doing your homework, without doing your research, which is why I compliment you, because you do your homework and you do your research. Here's what he goes on to say. The 3-hour January 6th Capitol intrusion consisted of an unorganized, unarmed gaggle of angry nitwits, followed by several hundred irrational trespassers. Every one of them will be prosecuted. No intruder has been charged with insurrection. A Capitol cop arbitrarily murdered an unarmed, non-threatening female veteran under the single gunshot fired.
I don't even know where you start with that.
I mean, where do you start? Is he that uninformed that he thinks this wasn't in many ways organized?
I mean, all you have to do, we've all seen the video. There was a group of people in military fatigues wearing helmets marching through. You don't just go to a political rally in that kind of outfit. You go there with the intention of doing something violent or something threatening.
They had bear spray on them.
Right.
They had clubs on them.
Exactly.
They had helmets on them. They had everything to do exactly what they felt they were being told to do.
They set up a gallows to hang Mike Pence, and they were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." They were looking to kill Nancy Pelosi. These were not just tourists.
I ask this all the time of people who act as though this wasn't anything. I always ask them, do you believe if they had gotten a hold of Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence, do you think they'd be dead?
Absolutely. Dead. Executed on the spot.
That, to me, is the easiest one in the world to answer, because they would have killed him.
Of course they would have.
They would have seen the pride in it. They would have said they're defenders of the oath. There were bombs placed out in front of the Republican and the Democratic congressional headquarters. There were bombs placed there, which are yet to solve what that happened. And to say that no one's been charged with insurrection, how do you define a charge of insurrection? And we do now have, of the people you were talking about, a felony charge.
And he's been charged with sedition, which is very close to insurrection. And there will be more charged with sedition. So
they're traitors.
They're absolutely traitors. That's not the way the American system is designed to work.
And you know what the most repulsive
the ballot
thing
box is our decider.
And if Hewlett's going to write this, and he's going to say that, and he's going to make comparison and contrast to the Civil War, okay? Let me ask him this, because this is the most offensive thing in the world to me. You look at what those men did on the ground at Gettysburg to defend this country from Minnesota. Look at the lives from Minnesota that were lost in Gettysburg and in other battlefields. If you need it to be close to home, okay? And you look at that, and then you watch these people proudly displaying the Confederate flag. That's where the Confederacy hits home to me. When I see somebody walking through the hall as though, my God, I'm defending the oath and the freedom, carrying the flag of traitors that men in my backyard here died to take on, to fight, to stop from an insurrection. That's repulsive to me.
It is
when
repulsive.
Somebody proudly displays that flag on their pickup truck, and I'm like, do you know you're slapping in the face every soldier that died so that men could be free? Are you that oblivious to history? Are you that oblivious to what this country was like prior to the Civil War? I don't get it. I don't get it.
There was a great PR effort on behalf of Southerners after the war was lost to twist what this war was all about. And people bought in, and they don't realize what was at stake, what they were fighting for.
That's happening right now.
Right.
And so if Hewlett believes that this was just an unorganized gaggle of people, then he should fear nothing about the January 6th committee. Then all of these people should make themselves completely available to the committee because they have nothing to fear. Then the Pences have nothing to fear. Then Donald Trump himself has nothing to fear. Rudy Giuliani has nothing to fear. If this was just an unorganized group of people that went to the Capitol that day, not upon the advice, not upon the encouragement, not upon any of those things, then what do they fear going in front of that committee for?
Because they fear Donald Trump. They are afraid to cross this guy. And that's the problem with the Republican Party. If you dare tell the truth that the election was fair and square, Donald Trump will blast you publicly and find somebody to run against you. And they haven't got the guts to stand up for our democracy and for the truth.
And go to South Dakota and ask what's happened with Mike Rounds.
That's a perfect example.
Ask Mike Rounds what happened with his phone lines in the last couple weeks, because he had the courage to say they lost the election. Period.
Exactly.
But I go back to this. You know, if you did nothing wrong, if you did absolutely nothing wrong, then why are you afraid in any way, shape, or form? Why are you afraid to go in front of that committee?
Again, it goes back to Trump.
Yeah.
They're afraid of getting which is not a good enough excuse. I think back to Watergate, and everybody went on that was subpoenaed, and we learned the truth. To me, January 6th is much more serious than Watergate.
Oh.
Not even close.
That isn't even close.
Right.
Richard Nixon didn't plan on killing Tip O'Neill. I mean, Richard Nixon didn't plan on killing, Sam Ervin. I mean, that wasn't part of the game plan. All right, we're gonna take a break in a little bit here. Phone lines are lit up. I promise you, we'll get to them. In fact, let's take one of the calls now. Let's get to Mike. You're on News and Views. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike, I tell you what, Joel, you and your sidekick there are extremist left wing. I'm so sick of listening to this is dangerous and that's dangerous. If you don't agree with the left-wing Democrat Party on everything, they attack, and you are the prime example of it. And you call people liars when the last time I talked to you, you called me a liar, and I didn't lie. And, I just wanted to let you know how extreme you do sound. And I just am very... Well, I guess it just shows the differences between people who actually, when you say that there's no that ivermectin doesn't work, that is a bald-faced. That's a bald-faced misinformation. And I'm just telling you that I've done lots of research too, but I don't believe everything that the FDA and the World Health Organization, and they're all government agencies paid and paid for by big pharma. And
so, Mike, let me ask you this: have you been vaccinated?
No.
And will you ever get vaccinated?
Not with this vaccine. I'm not against vaccines, but I'm against this one.
Have you taken ivermectin?
I've got it in case I get sick.
Okay. I guess you're saying that I called you a liar. You just called me a liar. Tell me what I lied about today, Mike. I want to hear.
I didn't say.
Okay. Tell me what I misinformed today, Mike. Tell me what I misinformed.
Because you said that you said that ivermectin is totally worthless and it doesn't work, and that is not accurate.
Okay. Can I ask you this, Mike? Do you believe the vaccine works?
No.
Okay.
I think it's very limited.
So why when 95% of the people that are dying from COVID are people that haven't gotten vaccinated, why do you believe that it doesn't work?
You believe 95% are dying that were not vaccinated?
No, that isn't what I said. Hang in there, Mike. Here's what I'm saying. Of the people that have been hospitalized, that are the sickest you can be because of COVID, because you're in the ICU, right? Of that body of people, 95% of them that die haven't been vaccinated. 95% of those people that are in the hospital are people that haven't been vaccinated. That's my point. You just said you don't believe this vaccine works, and yet you and I both know that you can contract COVID, but the chance that you have of dying from it is way greater. I would argue 95% greater if you haven't been vaccinated. So why would you tell me? Why would you tell me that the vaccine doesn't work?
Because there's therapeutics that you can take that will work just as well as that, and they keep pushing back on ivermectin and hydrochloroquine and the D-PAC, and if you take those, there's people who are very sick that once they take those Regeneron, look at Florida, and look at Israel. 97% of the people in Israel.
Mike, a lot of what you're talking about when it came to Israel happened pre-vaccine. Okay, so let me just say this, Mike. I know you don't like me. I like it when you call in because I love the spirit of debate. I want you to do this, Mike. I hope you change your mind on the vaccine because I hope that you don't get COVID unvaccinated. I like debating you, so I hope you're here another time to get vaccinated. So, all right, we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to continue. Phone lines are lit up. I promise we'll get to them right after this.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. The hospital last night, and I said, "Man, I'm going to do this." When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Roberson here with another Dynamite Hacker News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
From It Takes Two.
Doug here with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michael, Voices Force.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
Messages. Somebody said, Joel, they are not capable of rational solving. Another one, Joel, you can't get an irrational person like Mike to accept facts. Another one, Jed, COVID was not vaccinated, spent 10 days in the hospital on oxygen. Joel, I tried calling, but lines are busy. A month ago, I had COVID. I am vaccinated, but not boosted and had a mild case of COVID. The gentleman I contacted, that's the line I should have started with, contacted COVID, was not vaccinated. He spent 10 days in the. That's the point. Thank you. Thank you for that text message, because that's the point. Let's take the calls in the order they came. I'm hanging on to Jim Shaw because we're having a lot of fun in here. Jim, you are on with Jim Shaw. We'll call you Jim F. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
How's it going today?
It's going well. I'm behaving pretty well.
All right. Well, I agree. My thing is, I agree on both sides of the situation myself, but the one I don't agree with when you guys use, the polio vaccine or whatnot, that's not even close to what's going on now. It's not even close. Polio didn't have 4 variants and get the booster, then get I'm in my 60s. I remember all that stuff. Hell, back in the day, somebody had measles, you took them to their house so they'd get it too.
I remember being told that about measles, Jim. I do. But when you say it's not like polio, the only tie that I try to make on polio is the fact that the vaccine stopped polio. And it certainly stopped people from, and even if you might say, well, some still contracted polio, but it wasn't as severe. If I were there when polio was running rampant through this country and somebody told me I could take a vaccine to give me a 95% chance of not dying from polio or being, somebody who is going to live with a handicap because of polio, I would have took it, Jim. And that's my point.
I understand. I mean, I get what you're trying to get across, but to me, like I said, I grew up in the era, and I had a friend born with polio. It just but this COVID now.
One more point though, Jim. I'm 60. You're 50. You're same age. Okay, let's do the same age.
I'm 62. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't serve in the military, so this isn't a gotcha question. But did you serve in the military, Jim?
I did not.
Okay, but the only reason I ask it is because my dad told me when he was in the military, you went through the line, and it was one in the butt, one in the arm, one in the other arm, one in the other cheek. You know what I mean? And
absolutely, all my brothers and my father was in WW2 to Vietnam to whatnot. Yes, but on that situation,
30 seconds, Jim. Go ahead.
Okay, you're signing in for the Army. So when you sign that piece of paper, you're signing your rights away. They own you now.
Yeah, so, I get that. Thanks, Jim, for the call. I get the premise. But if you look at the anti-vaxxers that are going on out there, one of the things they scream about the loudest is that President Biden should not have been able to require he should not have been able to require the military to get vaccinated. So it's one or the other, guys. The Cruiser is sponsored by the North Dakota Farmers Union, North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Pfeiffer's Auction, Realty and Land Management, Nelson Brand Law, and Broadband Association of North Dakota. Phone lines are lit up. Text Club is full, and I got my friend sitting here. It's a good Monday.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that?
It Takes Two.
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning.
News Radio.
Katie Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces.
Too tall.
Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Access, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you trust.
So today on MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense of
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out. And just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just getting the greatest good. When we're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night. Got out of the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things we got to.
Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270. The News and Views Radio Network. Jim Shaw, Joel Heitkamp, just having a good old cup of coffee here in the studio, and my case of Diet Pepsi, and just taking it in. Let's take calls. Scott, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, Scott.
Good morning. I just heard that in the last, I believe in the last 24 hours, that Mitch McConnell called the Democrats hysterical over voting rights, and I find that quite a hypocrisy when, given the response of the Republicans toward elections on January 6th, the last 18 months, that it's very prudent for the Democrats to be worried about, whether their partners, the Republicans, can stand up for free elections. I guess I believe the next election coming up is going to be very important. We got to get this right, or it will end up being elections that cause this country to implode and become a complete mess.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. I think it's too late. I think that the election laws that were put in place with, I might add, at the state legislature level with a simple majority, one vote is all you needed. And the only way to fix it was at the national level, where apparently you needed 60 votes. Jim, it's over. In terms of President Biden in the Democrats in the Senate or the House changing any of this, basically not losing ground on the Voting Rights Act, it's over.
Right, and that's a real shame. I'm astonished that on the Democratic side, they have chosen the filibuster over democracy. The filibuster is more important than democracy. But again, that doesn't get the Republicans off the hook, because we know what's going on here. They're changing the rules so they can win. It's not about a fair system. It's about what gives a certain team an advantage. And there used to be a time, and I know you've had Bill Anderson, who I love when you bring him on, talk about when the voting rights legislation was passed in Congress, it was Republicans who were just as important to this effort as Democrats, and the Northern Republicans all voted for this. And when the voting rights bills had to be renewed, it was overwhelming by both parties. It was like 90-10 in the Senate. And now, of course, it's become a partisan issue, and no Republican can vote for the most basic of American rights, the right to vote in a free and fair election. And it's just heartbreaking.
Well, and there are things that the Democrats have complained about that I don't necessarily agree with. I mean, I'm okay as long as we develop some system of an ID. For example, I give my driver's license when I vote. Right. I don't have a problem with that. To eliminate drop boxes, to eliminate a way, that's how I vote. I went to the Richland County Courthouse. I got my deal in the mail. I went there and I put it in a drop box. Period. Plain and simple.
Right. And they're eliminating drop boxes in high population counties where there are a lot of people of color. In Texas, for example, I think the rule is you have one drop box per county. So in a county like where Houston's at, and you have millions of people, one drop box. Well, that's a Democratic area. In a rural county where there's maybe 20,000 people, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But they're slanting the equation.
I would also add this, that to me, voting is so important, and it's such a fundamental right that it shouldn't be about one day. You have to vote that day. We won't let you vote early.
Right.
We won't let you vote absentee. We won't let you. To me, if that's going to be the case and everybody acknowledges it, then take the day off.
Right.
Then what better day to say that than on Martin Luther King Day, to say, take the day off. Just go and vote. That's your responsibility. If you don't go vote, I can't make you. But this is going to be your, Christmas Eve. This is going to be your Thanksgiving. This is going to be, your Good Friday.
I agree.
Go vote.
The stunning thing is this is all based on the big lie.
Yeah.
And Republicans feel they have to go online. But in the last election, again, Trump's own people said they found no significant voter fraud. Every Secretary of State who certifies elections in all 50 states, no fraud. This is so what is the problem that we're trying to fix? The answer is there is no problem. They're just trying to change the rules of the game.
Well, and I would also add one other thing that Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema are getting blamed a lot. I want to know where the Republicans are when it comes to this.
And I made that point.
Where's Susan Collins?
Right.
Where's Lisa Murkowski?
They used to be there.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, when the Republican Party was a little more normal, shall we say, they recognized the importance of voting for all people. And now they've just turned crazy.
Let's get to Rick. You're on News and Views. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, I'm looking at a chart right here, and it's from Halifax Health, and it's pertaining to vaccinations. And I just lost it here. But basically, they're showing on their hospital chart, it's very similar to what North Dakota puts out, and it's roughly 50-50. I mean, so when you're talking about Rick Becker needing to be punished for what he's putting out, this is a hospital website, and they're showing of 70 hospitalized, 37 vaccinated, 33 unvaccinated. Of people in the ICU, 7 vaccinated, 6 unvaccinated. On ventilators,
so can
3
I ask this,
vaccinated.
Rick, where are you getting that so I can look it up?
On Halifax Health, this is on a Facebook page, and I pulled it up online too. It looks to be legitimate, but again,
here's
look
what I'll
up
do.
Sanford. Look up Sanford's numbers, and you'll see.
No,
how they break it
I
down.
understand. I've seen Sanford's numbers, and that's what I'm saying. This chart is very similar. I'd actually like to know the legitimacy of it because
right.
if
I'd
it's
like to
accurate,
know.
it certainly leaves a debate open.
I'd like to know the legitimacy of it. The charts really haven't changed for Sanford. I mean, the charts have looked, the numbers have changed, and the percentage changes a little bit, but you can predict the percentage within a percentage point or two every time you see it. And they've come on this show so many times. John, you're on News and Views. Go ahead, John.
Hey, great to talk to you. Say, I had polio back in 49 or 50, 48, I think it was. Gives you an idea how old I am. Anyway, though,
You
that's not
sound
what I call
young,
about.
John.
One of my other problems is I think too young. And I try to go out there and do stuff that I shouldn't really be trying to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I heard you mention the Trump vaccines. I believe you said that.
I said I would have called it the Trump vaccine and promoted the heck out of it, is what I would have done.
Yeah, I heard that.
That would have been the political side of it. But
yeah, well, one thing I would have liked to hear Joe Biden say in his State of the Union address way back when was to thank Angela Merkel and the German government and so forth for developing the COVID vaccine, the first one. It's Pfizer-BioNTech. Pfizer is an American company, and BioNTech is the German subsidiary. And my understanding is they did the work. They developed the vaccine. It was done by a husband and wife team, immigrants to Germany from Turkey. I don't know if I should say it, but they happen to be black, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's my understanding. And I don't know. Do you get that? Is that your understanding, or have we just glossed over it?
I know
I've heard it
that
mentioned.
what happened with Germany, you've heard many times what a major role they played in it. John, my motivation.
I haven't heard that too often.
Yeah, I had, and maybe it's because of the family I live in. I've got medical people in my family. But John, my point was this: is that politically, if there was something to gain there for Donald Trump if he would have embraced it, if he would have said, and he carried such a big part of a base that is anti-vaccine. And so he wasn't going to get them all, and they were going to love him no matter what because he's their guy. But if he would have gotten a huge percentage of them, John, that's appreciate it. I'm going to get to the weather cave and find that Mr. It's not too tall. Well, he's about my height, so he's tall. And that's our Don Haney. What do you got for me, Don?
Hey, thank you very much, Joel. Mostly cloudy covering north, central, and eastern North Dakota, and some sun elsewhere across the region. Temperatures not too bad. Highs should be in the low to mid-20s. to the mid-40s even in southwest North Dakota today. Minnesota can expect mostly cloudy skies. Highs in the upper teens to the upper 20s today. Late tonight into tomorrow, some changes. Low-pressure system is going to bring clouds and some snow. It's going to track southeast from Manitoba into northern Minnesota. North of the snow will be the highest potential for 2 inches or more of snow from far northwestern Minnesota, Hallock to Baudette, Red Lake, with potential of 4 inches or more up by Lake of the Woods. Light snow also will fall farther south. We'll see some minor accumulations of new snow, Devils Lake, Grand Forks, Fosston, Park Rapids area. Northwest winds are going to increase 30 to 45 miles an hour over eastern North Dakota by midday tomorrow and afternoon as colder air moves in, a lot colder air. This is going to cause some blowing snow, but degree of impact from this system still a bit uncertain. Much depends on how much new snow will fall, if any. But potential exists for reduced visibilities by tomorrow afternoon across eastern North Dakota and the valley. Around the region this hour, Alexandria is 21. It's 21 at Bemidji. Detroit Lakes reporting in with 24. Fergus Falls at 23. Fosston 19. Park Rapids at 20. Roseau 25. As we look a little bit further into areas around the region, looks like Watertown is reporting in with 20. And we have some other temps here, if I've got them a mess here. Jamestown has 28 this hour. It's 30 out at Minot. Williston reporting in with 26 at Wahpeton, 25. Currently here in Fargo, we have partly sunny skies, and it's 29 degrees.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. This cruiser is sponsored by the North Dakota Farmers Union, North Dakota Association of Rural Electric Cooperatives, Pfeiffer's Auction, Realty and Land Management, Nilson Brand Law, and Broadband Association of North Dakota. Some stats from Sanford. Of the 201 that are hospitalized, 179 are unvaccinated, 25 are vaccinated. In the ICU, in the intensive care unit, of the 64 that are in there, 57 are unvaccinated, 7 are vaccinated. Of the 51 on ventilators, 46 are unvaccinated, 5 are vaccinated. That's the point, and that's from Sanford. Somebody said Halifax is Canada. They are behind in vaccinations. I have 3 good friends who live there. All calls are welcome. Hey, disagree with this, whatever. Jim Shaw's hanging with me. We're going to take your calls on the Laney's News and Views studio line at 1-800-880-5346. Thanks for watching News and Views on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like our page, and send us a text anytime at 35270.
Well, we're doing a food giveaway event to the community. A lot of people are facing food insecurity at this time. As we can tell, we had to start about an hour early because we just had so many people lined up. So as people come up and they need whatever they need, volunteers are taking care of it. It's all contactless, so nobody has to get out, and just making sure whatever the greatest need. We're just giving the greatest good. We're going until the food is out. As people are coming in, if they need 2 boxes and 2 gallons of milk, that's what we're giving. We don't want to leave anybody out.
I was in the hospital, and I saw a flyer on the wall. And all the nurses were talking about taking people down there to get food and stuff. I got out last night, the hospital last night, and I said, man, I'm going to do this. When I came from Williston here, I lived on these streets for 3 years, caring. And that's what this is. That's the way I see it. Very helpful. I think it's going to be very helpful because I know people that are doing without.
I think it's truly remarkable how much need there is out there. Like I said, we were going to start at noon, but we had so many people lined up. We started at 11, and volunteers have been working their tail off since then. I'm thankful for that. I think this shows that there is some huge needs in the community, and we got some things.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, which is we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things. Today is all improv, so we're all just kind of working with ideas that we just kind of think of as we go, and we kind of play off each other, and it's fun to collaborate, but also have a sense.
Robertson here with another Dynamite Agri News Radio.
Hey, this is Abby Miller with the
Derek Hansen, Couch Potato Radio. Did you see that
from It Takes Two?
Doug Miller with the morning crew this morning. Jerkins News Radio.
Amy Eiler with It Takes Two.
This is Jack Michaels, Voices Forces. Joel Heitkamp here on the Mighty
Sarah Heinrich.
Tyler Axis, your home.
The Mighty 790 and 104.7 FM KFGO. The names you know, the voices you
That tester is wrong. Also, the North Dakota Department of Health stopped putting vaxxed and non-chart because it's more like 50-50. Sanford is full of it. All right, there's an opinion. Let's get to the phone lines, and we will get to Jim. Jim, you're on News and Views.
Hello, Joel.
Hello.
Say, I don't think most people realize that we are rapidly stampeding towards the end of our democracy, towards the end of fair elections. And there's three reasons for it, all compliments of the Republicans. One is the gerrymandering that Tom DeLay and Karl Rove started 15, 20 years ago. In every state that has a Republican legislature in the majority, they've gerrymandered the states so that it doesn't matter how many people vote for somebody, the Republicans get the electoral votes. Number two, with all the voter restriction laws that are being passed, lack of machines, lack of drop boxes, lack of physical addresses. And number three, the final firewall to a fair election is they're packing all the election boards. They've harassed and badgered people, so they've quit election boards, and they're packing them with Trump supporters, with Republicans. You know, there's not going to be a need for another January 6th. They're going to do it all legally.
Well, and you could argue that same thing, that same philosophy with school boards. I mean, it's what's happening. And Jim, you brought up wonderful points. The third one I had forgot to bring up, which is the election boards themselves, Jim Shaw.
That's true. It's not just voter suppression that's going on. It's the people who are counting the votes, who are certifying the votes. This is very, very frightening. It's very possible you will have people in a given state who won that state, and the people who certify the votes in that state will say, sorry, we're not certifying that person as the winner. We're certifying someone else as a winner. And again, say goodbye to your democracy when that happens.
So Joe Biden went for Build Back Better. He got the infrastructure through, which will always, to me, be one of the big successes of the Biden administration, because for 17 years I've been sitting in this chair screaming infrastructure. That's what we compete against the rest of the world.
Right.
If we have the best infrastructure, the American people will take it from there. Then you've got Build Back Better, which I was warm, cold to a bunch of it, right? Then he goes after voting rights. Voting rights should have been number two. He went down to Georgia, and the Democrats in Georgia pointed out to him the where were you? type of philosophy of, hey, this was a big enough issue. This was more important than Build Back Better.
Right.
And the point that Jim just made was, in fact, that. This was more important than, more important than debating daycare or tech school or those type of things.
Right. He's right. If you lose the democracy, if you lose the fairness of elections, nothing else matters because you'll never get anything else. But unfortunately, no Republican votes that way anymore. They used to support free and fair elections. They don't anymore. Now it's all a partisan clown show. And you have two Democrats who are just, I don't know, in another planet.
And I get frustrated a little bit with that because while I think they're wrong and I think they should vote the way they told people they would vote, I mean, for Kyrsten Sinema to run around and say you're a hero in politics and as an American was John Lewis, who,
almost got killed for marching for the right to vote.
Yep. And what better day to mention his name than on Martin Luther King Day?
Exactly.
But somebody texted in and said that caller Mike is selfish and does not care about the poor frontline workers and nurses and doctors. A friend of mine had the same opinion as Mike. He got COVID, took all his little ivermectin, Z-Pack crap treatments, finally went in for the official treatment of antibodies. He's still very sick. I don't know what you do with that. I guess I'm kind of past the point of trying to push people to get vaccinated. They've made up their mind. They even see friends who are in their camp die, and they don't change their mind, Jim. They don't.
It is, but unfortunately, it affects all of us.
Yep.
I want to get back to normal. So do you. But as long as we have so many people who refuse to get vaccinated, I don't know how we get back to normal.
Well, the Supreme Court just ruled that you don't have to.
And that was sad.
Well, get used to that Supreme Court, because for 9 months, Merrick Garland waited for just a hearing. Then Barrett came out, and within 3 weeks,
total hypocrisy from Mitch McConnell.
Yep, and the Democrats who claim the filibuster is so important, they need to take a look at that process.
You betcha.
Because they're idiots that way. Good riding with you. Thanks, Jim.
Thank
coming
you.
on.
So today on the MSUM campus, we're doing an ice jam, we're combining a bunch of percussion instruments with ice instruments, which are also going to be used in a percussive form. We're going to hit them with mallets, hammers, all those types of things.